Hey! Today I will tell you all about bearings.
What?
Bearings, my friend! Bearings!
Hey, how are you? Welcome on my channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world.
Hey! So today I was making a bearing inventory because it's the end of the month. At the end of each month I do a bearing inventory to know exactly what bearings I have for the upcoming month, so I can plan my jobs accordingly, because motors need to be overhauled every month depending on the running hours, or maybe there is an unexpected job and I have to know that I have the bearings in position and ready to go, just in case I need them. So today I will tell you about a few words about the bearings, what is their purpose, different types, and things like that. I came up with this idea because I was doing, like I said at the beginning, I was doing the bearing inventory and I said, I should make a vlog about this. Maybe people are curious about bearings. I mean, to me they are boring, but I don't know, maybe some people never seen them or have seen some weird numbers written on the box of each bearing, and they want to know what it means. So today I will explain all those things.
Hey, that's pretty good.
We are in the electrician workshop. This guy. Okay, let's go in. You see, this is the mother load of bearings. All types of bearings are here, bigger, smaller, many types of bearings fabricated in different countries. We have some made in France, some made in India. We have over here some made in Italy. I don't think the zoom is working very well. Anyway, different types of bearings. I already took out from the box a few of them just to show you. So you see, this one has the balls exposed in the outer ring, and this one is with the casing. Let me see, I will choose one just to explain to you the different types. Let me see which one. This one, for example. I will take this one. So as you can see there on the box, there are some weird numbers and letters. So the first four numbers, 6212, is the bearing code. That is the code of the bearing. That is how you know which particular bearing you need for the motor which has the problem. I should have started from the beginning. The bearings are those round things that come on the shaft of a motor. Their purpose is to keep the shaft aligned inside the motor. Otherwise, without a bearing, the shaft would touch the casing of the motor. There will be sparks and the motor will not work anymore after a few seconds of starting it. So because of bearings attached to the shaft of the motor, you can use that said motor for many thousands of hours. Depending on the type of motor and how big the bearing is, there are different sizes of them. I will tell you in a few moments. Usually the bearings are changed if you have a problem with the motor. I mean, every morning when I go in engine room, I make a round all over engine room and I check all the motors. I listen to them, I touch the motor. After so many years being on board, I have enough experience to notice if there is something, if there is a problem with the bearing inside that motor. So every morning I take a round, and if there are no issues, then I continue my job for that day. 6212 is the code of the bearing. Yeah, that is how you differentiate different bearings. As you can see here, they have different codes. Yeah, this one 6206, this one 06007, 6307, and so on. Okay. The next one, 2Z, you see there, 2Z. Sometimes it's written ZZ. Okay. So 2Z is referring to the casing here. Okay. Whenever you see on a bearing box 2Z or ZZ, that means you will have this type of bearing. It means that the balls inside the bearing between the inner circle, and the outer circle are encased in a steel casing, and inside there is a high temperature grease that is designed to keep those balls cooled down, because as you already know maybe, or if you don't know, I'm telling you now, whenever you put together two pieces of metal and there is friction between them, there will be sparks, there will be fire, and the metal after a while, if it's becoming too hot, it will bend. So you cannot run a motor like that. So inside that casing there is a special grease designed to work at high temperatures, also to keep the balls of the bearing cooled down. The next number here, C3, it's referring to the clearance of between the inner circle and the outer circle, the clearance here. Okay, that is what it means. And that way, this type of bearing, when you put it on a shaft, you will see that this is the inner circle, the inner ring is moving a little bit. That is perfectly normal on this type of bearing. Usually the code of the bearing, like this for example, 6212, usually that number, it's written on a nameplate of the motor. Motors should have a nameplate on it. If the motor is an old type and maybe the nameplating fell off, or it melted over the years, or someone painted over it, like they usually do when you are on board the vessel, then you are a little bit screwed, because you have no choice but to open that motor and check what type of bearing it is using. But ideal is to have the information from outside the motor, from the nameplate, because it happens sometime that you are opening that motor, you are suspecting that there is a problem with the bearing, and when you open it you realize that you do not have spare bearing for that type of motor, and then you are ruined, because you cannot use that motor anymore. Like I told you, motors cannot work without bearing, otherwise you cannot keep that shaft aligned. And usually if you do not have the box of a bearing, or like I said, the motor that you want to change the bearing for, it's missing the nameplate, then when you open the motor you will see the code of the bearing written here. You see there, 6319. I used a bigger motor just so you can see the code better, because this camera, I don't think it has a great zoom, and on a smaller bearing like this you could not see it on the camera. If you are faced with this situation, that is what you have to do. If there is no nameplate on the motor, then you have no choice, you have to open it and do a check like that. You have to check the number on the bearing. Usually the bearings are changed whenever the motor has a problem, when there is abnormal noise or things like that. But sometimes you have on board overzealous chief engineers who like to change the bearings after particular running hours. So at the end of each month I have to take the running hours of all machinery on board. I give them to the chief engineer and he decides if he wants to change the bearings of a particular motor or not. Usually at about 10,000 hours they want bearings to be changed. Some chief engineers, like I said, they only want the bearings to be changed if there is a problem with that motor, and some, like I said, do not care about the company's money and they want to overspend it for useless things, and they request the bearings to be changed at maybe 10,000 hours. This guy who is here with me wants at 14,000 hours. Anyway, I mean, sometimes it's justified to replace the bearing, but from my point of view, 10,000 hours is not enough. Maybe 20,000 hours, yeah, you could change it, because for example, if you are maneuvering in a river or inside the port and an important motor gives in and does not work anymore, like the lube oil pump for the main engine, then your day is totally ruined and you will have big problems with the authority of that port. It will be fines. They cannot wait for somebody to be fined and get some free money. So I suppose this method of changing the bearings, even though there is a problem, it has a little bit of justification, but I mean, 10,000 hours from my point of view, it seems very less. I hope I told you all the information that you need in case you are an engine cadet and you will be joining the vessel soon. At least you will have an idea about the codes and the numbers that you see on the bearing. Usually this job is for the electrician on board, but sometimes they request the engineers to do this job if the electrician is busy with something else and there is a job that has to be done. The electrician is too busy, then the engineers have to do this. And if you are a cadet, an engine cadet or an electrical cadet, just planning to come on board soon, then you have to have an idea about these things. Anyway, if you are not a seaman or coming on board soon and you are just curious about this subject, I hope I gave you the correct and all the information that you needed just to have an idea about this subject. I'm not talking about sci-fi things here, and I know I'm not saying important things, but I think that it's better to have a small idea from any subject. That way you can grow as a person, you know. You see, I was thinking today when I was doing this inventory that I should arrange them in a neat order. As you can see now, they are very well arranged, because whenever I have a problem and I need to find a particular bearing, I want to find it in 1 minute. I don't want to spend, and it is not nice to spend 20 minutes to search for a particular bearing, because okay, like I said before, whenever you need to change the bearing because the chief engineer said so at 10,000 running hours, that is not an emergency job and you can delay it. But sometimes, like I said before, if you have an important motor that is not running properly and you are maneuvering in a river or on a channel, in Suez Channel for example, you need to be as fast as possible and every minute counts. And it is not nice to spend 20 minutes to check for a particular bearing. I have arranged them in a neat order. I already have a list posted on the door, so the next guy who will come after me in a few months will also have a easy way around the bearings here, and he will not spend many hours to find a particular bearing. I hope I gave you all the information that you needed. Maybe you want to like and share this to your friends. Maybe they want to know about this subject as well. I hope you will subscribe to my channel. I will keep posting important stuff from the ship, the seaman life, and everything that comes with that. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you next time on my channel. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.